effort for the point in time count. Um, what I would like to do first is introduce myself. My name is Miss Martika Baker. I'm with Opening Doors. I serve as the compliance officer. And I'm also the point in time count coordinator for 2025. This is my third year being the point in time count coordinator. And so I've worked for Opening Doors for almost 10 years. And I've been in social services since I was 23 years old. And so that's almost 15 years. Um, I'm going to now pass the mic around the room, specifically homeless social services. And also children and families. So I'm going to pass the mic around the room and please introduce yourselves. Tell us what organization you're with and um, tell us something new about yourselves or something interesting. That'd be great. Let's just have an icebreaker.
My name is Rudy Coper. I'm with Offensive. Um, Something about myself. Uh, well, other than the fact that the the past 2 years have been the most important 2 years of my life. Um, things have things have changed drastically and in all aspects of my life, all for the better. And I put my heart, my spirit, and everything into what I do now. And that's all I want to do. My vision, I think I found my purpose in helping people in any kind of way, just helping people. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I think I'm in the right place.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Francis. I'm with Offensive. I do some of the casework. Something about myself. This is my 6th year in recovery, being clean, and I've been in a lot of places that these people are that we work with. So it's kind of like Rudy said, I think I found my purpose as well. Thank you.
I am Brad Bishop. I'm with Offensive. Something new. I guess I'll change the tone. I used to be a hip hop DJ and music producer when I was a kid.
My name's Jasmine Rivera. I'm the director of harm reduction for Offensive. Um, I forgot what are we just supposed to say about it or what? Something new or okay, something about myself. I'll have 5 years in recovery this March. So harm reduction is really, dear to me because it could have helped me and my fiance a lot back when we were using. So he might still be here today had we had harm reduction then. So
I am Jamie Lapointe, and I am with LSF and for 35 years now in May. And let's see, fun facts are interesting. Um, about a week and a half ago, I was a 5-year cancer survivor. That's a big landmark. It's exciting. I'm a little bit of a thrill seeker. I've been skydiving a few times, and I like zip lining and all those kind of stuff. And anyway, I got 2 wonderful granddaughters that still take my breath away, and they're 14 and 19. So, yeah, all's good.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Baldwin. I'm with Opening Doors over the outreach um, team, working with the outreach team. Something new about me. I say new. I am a member of the Marching 100, Florida A&M University Marching 100 band, and I play trumpet.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe. I'm also with Opening Doors. I haven't had anything exciting happen lately, but I'm getting close to having my mental health counselor license. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm just looking forward to getting more involved with you guys.
Hey, folks online, if you could introduce yourselves.
I am Ashley Wellborn. I am the intake coordinator with Offensive, and I also do outreach with them. Something new. Okay, let's see. So I am going to be 7 years in recovery in April. And let's see, I'm about to take the exam to be a certified recovery peer specialist. And then after that, I'm going to go back and continue on to be an addiction counselor. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Serene Kike with Opening Doors as the interim director. I've been with this place now since 2010, seen a lot of changes and a lot of happening. I'm proud of where we're at today and the direction we're going in. Something new. I used to ride motorcycles. So, there you go.
And this gentleman that's with me today is Mr. Edward Bernardo. He works in our IT department. He's our security officer for the COC, actually. He's been working with us probably about 7 to 8 years now. You've been here a year after me. so, so yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. This training shouldn't take us more than about 45 minutes to an hour, and then you can hang around for some questions. I probably have about 30 minutes available after that time for us to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for being here today. What I greatly appreciate about the folks in this room this morning, it is not common where we hear people talk about their history, their past, where they have come from and where they are today. And so what I would like to say is for those folks who have lived experience, the stories that you shared about your recovery, that is important to hear. And I greatly appreciate that you were comfortable enough in our space to share that. And thank you so much, because what we're going over today with street outreach, we need people who have had that lived experience to engage with the folks that are still there, right? And this training today, you probably have some things that we don't know, right? About how you work with people who are in this situation, living it every day, trying to figure out where they're going to get their next meal or their next shower, right? So thank you so much today. If you have something that you would like to add, jump out, okay, and say something. Speak up. All right. So
I want to jump out, Tika. I love that this room is full of people who have expressed their leadership. I mean, their lived experience. So in the chat line of this, I have posted our position for governance council. Our leadership positions are open, and we're specifically looking for folks in the leadership. So if you just take a moment before you leave today to have a look at that. Thank you.
So as you can see here on the very first screen, it is saying save the date. This date range that you see there, January 23rd to January 27th, that is important because that is the actual census period where we will go out for street outreach to count people who are living in the elements. So what is point in time count? The point in time count is actually a count of homeless individuals that are residing in our community. We usually do this count annually. It's not required that we do all elements of the count every year, but our community does the PIT annually because we need to know this information to understand the needs of our community, how it changes from year to year. And it helps us to know, how do we decide on what services and programs develop, what funding do we need to try to go after to try to benefit the folks in our community, right? So that is what the point in time count is. It's a snapshot of homelessness in the last 10 days of January. We do it on one single night. So everything that we do about the census period refers back to the single night of PIT. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But it is a snapshot of who's experiencing homelessness on that one night. Does anyone know why in the world would we do pit in the coldest part of the year? For So it is odd. It is something that HUD has stipulated. They say, hey, we want to do the census during January. I've actually not figured out why they do it in January because in the state of Florida, the bulk of our people are going to be unsheltered during the summer, right? During the summer months, usually not during the cold months. But that is a little footnote to look into later on down the road. So the role of street outreach workers during the point in time count. So why are we doing this outreach? Again, it's about us figuring out what does our data say in our community. I don't want us to think about the people who we are going to be counting as just a number because that is not what they are, right? They are a part of our community. They are our homeless sisters and brothers and neighbors. And so our job is to try to engage with folks and figure out, hey, what is the path that you want to go down to move forward, right? As an outreach worker, your job is going to be to build trust with individuals while you're out in the field. You're going to encourage them to participate in the survey, right? It's not to force them to participate in the survey, but encourage for them to do it. Um, Collect that data as accurately as possible, as much of the information as we need. We're going to go over what the data collection points are a little later and the tools that you're going to use to do it. And you're going to stay within your assigned census route. So when we do point in time count for street outreach, we don't want to overlap where we count because you may come in contact with John Doe 3 times if they are moving throughout the community and going to different census tracts, right? So we want to make sure that you stay within your assigned census route so that you know if you come across John twice, well, John already got you. You already have a purple bag, you already have a purple wristband. We know we've counted you. And it also keeps, so what I'm saying is it keeps us from duplicating efforts and duplicating the count of a single individual. We don't want to see John on our census list 3 times, right? It is also your job to give a participant an incentive for participating in the survey. So we like to give folks a care bag, and this care bag is full of materials and goodies for them to take back with them so that they can have that token of our appreciation for deciding to be a part of the census count. We're going to go over when to count, who to count, and how to engage with the community. So when do we count? When and where? We're going to count January 23rd through January 27th. We're going to try to count from sun up to sundown. So some of the first sites that we go to are like Action Labor and Able Ready. We like to go to Pace Setters, and we also go into Loaves and Fishes because they do their breakfast feeding. So we try to count from sun up to sundown. And I think the earliest we've ever counted was about 6:27 in the morning historically, all the way to like 8:30 at night. A lot of the street outreach workers and volunteers do not go out after hours, like deep into like midnight, because our folks also have to, if they're working, they're going to want to go back to their tent. They want to go back, or they're going to be leaving to try to get services before they go back to where they're sleeping at night. And so a lot of folks won't be out at midnight or after 8:30 because we want to respect also our people who we're going to be surveying. Where do we count? So we're counting at unsheltered locations and also brick and mortar locations, right? So an unsheltered location is a place where a person's normally not going to sleep. It's a place where they're sleeping because they don't have regular accommodations, right? Like a shelter or a house. So we're going to get a little bit into what that specifically looks like later. We also count at service locations or brick and mortar locations. These are places where our people are known to go to get services. or to get any type of daily care. So if they're going to a clinic, some of our clinics participate in PIT if a client voluntarily decides to do so. And so at these brick and mortar sites, you might see not census workers, but actually the clinical staff that the client might be comfortable with doing the survey with. So when it comes to the street-based count, the locations where we normally are going are cars, parks, tents, bridge overpasses. We even have had folks at abandoned buildings and it's in storage sheds on a family member's property. The family member might not be able to move them into the home because they are on Section 8 themselves or a housing choice voucher themselves, but they have a shed where they are maybe placing someone. So unfortunately, that's the hard thing to hear, but these locations are where most folks will be found. So now we're getting to tiny home sheds and RVs. People always ask this of me, like, is this considered a place where a person can be counted? Yes. If there's no habitability, like a person doesn't have running water, they don't have electricity, they don't have a way to dispose of waste, and so that property is dilapidated, that person, if they so identify themselves as saying, yeah, I feel like I'm in an unsheltered situation, I feel like I'm not housed because I'm living in this and I really don't want to be here, and if they agree to participate in a survey, then you can count them in the survey if they're in these types of living situations and that's what's happening with their property. So some service-based sites where folks are counted include soup kitchens and clinics, day resource centers, clothing closets, um, service-based agencies. So even some of our homeless prevention providers and our rapid rehousing providers, they get folks who are experiencing homelessness. Even some of the youth um, advocacy centers also get, and drop-in centers get folks who are experiencing homelessness that just come in looking for services. And so at that time, during the PIT period, you can offer to say, hey, you're telling me this is your situation right now in our community. We're giving a census count. Would you like to participate in it? And, at the end of the survey, you give them that care bag and they're just so grateful that they've been given that. And in that care bag, it points them in a direction to more resources. It points them in a direction to shelters and transitional housing programs and things of that nature. So who do we count? I'm not going to break this down into all of the different subpopulations that there are out in the community that you may hear through the federal government or local government or anything. In your mind, have that this person is unhoused, they're an individual or a family, doesn't matter what the makeup is, doesn't matter the age, the sex, the gender, the sexual orientation of the individual, just matters that they are an individual or they're presenting as a family unit and they are unsheltered, staying in a place not meant for human habitation, okay? That's all that matters. So that's who we count, all folks who are unhoused. Okay. So what information do we need from folks who are participating in the survey? Now, is all of this required? For us to count them and put them in our census, we need about 80% of this information, okay? That helps us to make sure that we can actually count the survey. We do understand some folks are just not comfortable with giving their social security number. So social security number isn't even listed on here, but it is something that we will ask. If a person doesn't feel comfortable giving their full 9, it's okay. They can give their last 4, or they don't have to give it up at all. Okay. Historically, I believe in the last year or two, we've actually have not made it a mandatory question for them to answer. But everything else here, we would like to know because it helps us to deduplicate the information and make sure we're not counting the same person twice. The main thing, and I'm so sorry, this is not right. I didn't catch that. For the housing status, we're always asking folks, where did you sleep last night? And you're going to ask folks, where did you sleep on the night of January 22nd, 2025. Might want to write that down. I am going to correct this before I send it out. But January 22nd, 2025 is the question that you ask folks is where did you sleep last night? January 22nd, 2025. So when is the point in time count actually coordinated? Again, it's always the last 10 calendar days in January. From January 22nd to January 31st, we select a single night. Our single night that we've selected is January 22nd, 2025, and our census period is January 23rd through the 27th. Okay. And it's not just you folks that are going to be out. It's also going to be our shelter providers, our transitional housing providers are going to be out too. So there's a whole different side of this count. With data collection, we have 3 ways that we collect data. We collect data either from our mobile app, which is Hyperion. If you have your electronic device today, you're actually going to get to practice putting in a fake survey. There's also a paper survey form that has been finished, and you can complete that if folks say, I'm not comfortable with you putting it on your device. And then we also track information of people who are experiencing homelessness within our homeless management information system. So for the Unsheltered Pit survey steps, what you're going to always do is you're making sure that you identify yourself. You're saying what your purpose is for approaching the individual. You deliver a script within our paper form, within the electronic forms. There's a script that's built into it where you just repeat what you see there. And basically, you're going to get that verbal consent to proceed forward with the survey. You're going to ask some pre-screening questions. There's always 2 pre-screening questions is, have you already taken the survey this week? And where did you sleep on January the 22nd? If the person's eligible, you're going to move forward in the survey. The survey is automatically going to move forward for you. All right. Once you finish the end of the survey, after the person answers all of their questions, you're going to thank them for their participation, and you're going to give them that care bag, that incentive bag, after you have done this. And so this is pretty much all the steps that you have to complete as a survey worker. So this is a sample of the script. This is generally what it's going to say, so folks know what is what's happening and what is your purpose for engaging with them. Now, getting your device ready for the census work, okay? If you are an iPhone user, this is generally what it looks like. You basically turn on your location services. And the reason why we like for the location services to be on is because it helps us to basically do a drop pin for GIS mapping. It helps us to identify where the highest density of people are experiencing homelessness in our community. No one gets to see this map after the fact, except for the lead agency. We don't like disperse this map. We just help it. We use it to help us to plan outreach routes later on, in the next year for the following pits. We never ever release any of the data from the count, and we never release any of the mapping. So this is how you turn on your location. If you don't turn on your location services, then you have to type in a custom location. Or you have the option to type in a custom location on your device, and you'll see that once we start the practice. Now, there is a trick. If you have a Android device, your calendar for entering in dates of birth on the survey tool, it works a little weird. So we have made sure that we have a slide for you to come back to and review as you're practicing, because my expectation is after you get this training, you're going to come back into this the training portal, and you're going to do a practice case. just even leading up to pit, because it's still like 2 or 3 weeks away, right? So take some time before you go, make sure you're going out to do census work, that you come back in and you test out the features on this app, because you don't want to get out there and then you're like, I don't remember how to do any of this, right? There's also a video to show you how to do it as well. So now we can practice. Take some time, partner up, find a buddy, and log into here. And let's do a practice case. You're going to basically take yourself through the scenario of doing a survey. So let's go back to the script. There we go. Go ahead. Y'all practice. I'm going to give you 10 to 15 minutes to practice. Oh, let's get that code. I forgot. I moved a little too fast. Might be better. There you go. Okay, let me pull my mic back in. I'm so sorry. I apologize to the folks that are online. So, how do we engage with the community? Um, you're always going to show respect because a lot of the time in outreach, you're going into their space, right? We are in their territory, right? And so you're always going to be respectful of their space, their belongings. We always don't want to crowd and hover over people. No one likes that. Even, folks that, in our normal day lives don't like to be hovered around. But the best thing is just to ask for an invitation to sit or to kneel, because that makes the person feel respected, right? Whenever you're going into their space, gain permission as always before you go into an encampment or before you even take a seat next to someone, because some of these places that we go to, such as Alfred Washburn Center, it's an opportunity where you may be able to sit down at a table to survey someone. So it's just that invitation of being invited to join. Always be kind, treat people with dignity and respect, acknowledge people. There's nothing more. I feel some folks need that uplifting. A smile can sometimes be that thing that brings that positivity to that person's day. Greet them. Always ask them, for their preferred name, their preferred pronouns, because you don't ever want to assume, right? If the person says or gestures that they don't wish to talk to you, it's okay. Just thank the person for their time and move on. That is okay. We're not going to force someone to be surveyed. And always just introduce yourself with your first name, never your first and your last name, always your first name. And always just go over that script. And if someone says, hey, they're willing to be surveyed, go over that script, stick to it, but just use your first name. At the end of the survey, give that those critical items in the care bag. Ask the individual if they even need or want them, because sometimes we've had folks who've been surveyed, they've agreed to participate, and then they said, I don't really need anything. Please give it to the next person, right? So always ask. You can offer it, and then they'll tell you what they want you to do. Don't give it when they don't want it. Do not withhold any of the critical items, even if a person doesn't want to be surveyed. Go ahead and give it to them, explain to them, what's in it. We're going to go a bit here and a little bit later over some things that are in it that are important for you to highlight. And don't expect anything in return. Don't say, well, you have to give me a survey in order for you to get this care back. No, no, no. Just go ahead and give them the care back, because what we're going to do later on is there's an event that they get an invitation to in this care bag. And so at that point, we'll look at the information that we have and see if we counted them or not. And we'll try one more time to get a survey from them. So it's okay. Be aware of your surroundings. Always be alert in any situation that you are in. Don't be so nose deep into your cellular device that you don't watch where you're stepping, or walk into a situation that it's not safe for you or that puts you in a crisis situation. What not to do. Don't disturb folks when they're sleeping. Don't knock on tents. That's so disrespectful. Don't kick their belongings. Don't take their belongings. Make sure that you're always going in well-lit areas. So don't go in anywhere that's too densely wooded or that is not lit very well. Try not to take more than 5 minutes to do the survey. I've heard folks say that it takes about 10. That is okay. 5 is usually the baseline, but if yes, yes. Mhm, mhm. So Android, in one of the slides, there's an instructional video for you to watch as a part of this presentation. Because Miss Jamie's done it before, so Miss Jamie can show you how to do it. Um, but there is an instructional video for you to figure that all out. You got it? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Don't give Don't give any money to or other non-essential items. Please try to stick to giving them either what's in the care bag. So if you are wanting to, as a service provider, to give something to the people, right? Try to make sure that it's part of the care bag stuffing party. Try to bring it up to opening doors, put it in the assembly line of items because we're trying to make it to where they're not having to walk around with so much stuff, right? Because they don't have lots of tote bags and things of that nature, and some of them are trying to catch public transit. So let's just be mindful to not give them items that are not a part of the pick count. Don't allow people. Well, we try to ask that we don't allow our people that we're surveying to do the survey on their own. Um, we like for the volunteer who's been trained to do the survey because you know exactly what we're asking for, right? You're getting this training, they're not. And so we want to make sure that the information is accurate, timely, and complete. So just make sure that you are the one doing the survey. Please don't wear a purse. Don't wear expensive jewelry. I can't tell you that enough. Yes, ma'am. Yes. It's January 17th. Hmm. Don't give out any of your personal information, right? If it's related to your business, again, have it a part of the care back stuffing parties. Like you want to pass out flyers and rack cards, bring them up here. And don't proselytize, which means uh, don't try to baptize somebody in real time. Don't preach at them. We're not there for those purposes. So just remember that this is not a counseling session. This is the reason we're there is to do the survey. If someone asks for you to pray for them, that is their right. And if you feel so comfortable to do so, you can. All right. I'm not saying that you cannot pray for someone for religious freedom. Okay, that is fine. But if the person says, I don't want to be prayed for, or whatever else they say, don't do it. Safety tips. Always go out in two parties of two or more. That's just for your safety as a volunteer. Always have someone backing your sits, right? So just keep that in mind. Always wear warm clothing and comfortable shoes. You're going to be doing a lot of canvassing and walking. So just make sure that you have safe attire. Bring a backpack, a flashlight if you're going to be out after 5 o'clock because it gets dark around 4:47. Um, bring some water and bring a fully charged cell phone and a battery pack if you need to charge your cell phone. Remain aware of your environment at all times. And if you're going somewhere where it's tight, make sure you are aware of your exits at all times. Okay. Trust your judgment. If something doesn't feel safe, then don't go into the environment. Don't go into an engagement with the individual. Remove yourself and your team from that situation. Be respectful of your space and the space of all of the individuals that you engage with. Be respectful of choice. That's the reason why we always ask, how do you want to be? What's your preferred name and what's your pronoun and things of that nature. So it's all about, voluntary participation. If someone doesn't want to participate, respect their choice, move on. I know a lot of this stuff is repeated, and it's because I have to hone in on it twice. If you encounter dogs while you're counting, remain calm. Always face forward, right? Back away slowly. Take your cues from the owner if the owner is there, all right? Look for signs in the dog. If the dog's tail is whipping and it's sharp, then he's probably not friendly for you. If it's, right? So if their haunches are up, they're probably not friendly. Get out of their space. So if you encounter a dog, just be very, very careful. Pay attention to your surroundings. And if there is a need for you to call 911, call 911 if it's an emergency. And also, if you're not the team lead, contact your team lead to let them know that there's been an emergency on your route and you're going to be handling it for a brief period of time and then get back on your route once you are finished, right? Because it just lets us know if you have to actually abandon the route, we need to know, right? That is the importance of calling your team lead because it just lets us know what's happening. Or contact opening doors because we have site leads here, and so or that are going to be at the site locations, the brick and mortar locations. So just make your team lead aware of what's going on. 5 health monitoring tips. We're still in the season of COVID, flu, and any other infectious disease right now. So just make sure that if you need to have PPE, mask, sanitizer, bring that with you. Self-screen your symptoms before point in time count. If you are with the fever, coughing, sneezing, those 7 questions that you usually get asked if you're going to a doctor's office, um, self-screen yourself. Make sure you're not coming out into the elements or around people and spreading germs during the point in time count. So just keep track of yourself. Conduct trainings virtually. That's why we have a virtual option just for people who may be sick. And leading up to point in time count, we'll do a lot more virtual trainings. To keep down on the spread of germs, like from hand to hand contact or mouth contact, things of that nature. We do prefer to use your devices. You can use a laptop, or not a laptop, but a tablet or iPad or a cell phone. That just keeps, the hand contact down on items if you're not using papers and pens. Make sure you're paying attention to the Florida Department of Health guidance that might be out, and also pay attention to the Escambia County resources that come out through Mr. Travis Tompkins, because that will actually keep you weather aware so that you can keep yourself from getting sick with flu and anything else of that nature. And then observe your symptoms for 2 weeks post-pit, because up to 2 weeks after pit, you could still contract something, right? Because you don't know. You're around a lot of people during that time. Important dates. So the next training for street outreach is this evening. Shelter and transitional housing is tomorrow, and brick and mortar is January 9th and the 14th. Bag Stuffing Party is the 17th of January. The census period is January 23rd through the 27th, and U-Count is January 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you have not registered a table for U-Count Homeless Connect Day, you need to get in contact with Miss Liz Kissel. This morning, she shared with us the vendor form. So if you need it, we can put you in contact with her. That way you can get that vendor form. All right. Sure. No problem. Now, there is an actual street outreach coordinator for point in time count in our community. His name's Mr. Rocky Harrison. I don't know if he was able to make it on the call. Mr. Harrison is in Birmingham for the next 2 or 3 days. But he's usually the person that meets with the outreach teams to kind of figure out what your route is and to make sure that people's routes aren't crossing over one another, because we understand that outreach teams are already going out in the community. They already have assigned haunts that they go to do their meal distribution and their own incentive bag distribution. So we try not to step on any toes, and so Rocky is the person to engage with to kind of tell him what your standard route is that your provider goes on, the date and time that you usually go, and then how many volunteers that you have. And then he basically just likes to keep track of all that, because then we know that we have our entire census map covered, right? So his contact information is rocky.harrison@priorityveteran.org. That is his phone number. I'm your PIT coordinator. Miss Serene is your volunteer coordinator. So if you are wanting to volunteer for the brick and mortar locations, please get in contact with Miss Serene. She's Serene K at openingdoors.nwfl.org. I believe her phone number is 850-741-7616. I could be wrong though.
Eight 741-4616.
4616.
And I'll try
Thank
to
you,
put
Ms.
up a application here.
And so, yes, if you would like to survey at the brick and mortar, because we don't know how many volunteers we're going to get for those census workers. And so it is fine if you feel like you can contribute and give more effort to that as well as the outreach, then yes. So you want to be a site. Okay. That would work. Speak with Miss Serene. Miss Serene?
Oh, yes. I can't hear what they're saying in the
Oh,
room.
hold on just a moment.
Okay.
So at our brick and mortar, we've got a brick and mortar resource center, and so should we sign up? Do I need to register again for that?
So I'm suggestion, and we're just talking that because of you have a limited number of people there that maybe possibly your volunteers that you have here with you today could do the surveys for those people that we probably will not need to solicit for volunteers for your group because what you got 12, and so I would just go ahead and let you guys handle that. Is that what you're asking?
I didn't know if there was a different process, like for the people that just come in and out the door every day. Just people walking by or coming for this or
I
that.
see. Okay, so you don't have like you have stagnant population come through. Okay.
We do, but he's here. But then now, is it the same thing? Is it the same thing we're doing? Yeah. Then I guess it wouldn't be
I
necessary.
think your volunteers could handle probably the flow. Brick and mortar is more like when there's at least 100, close to 100 people come. You're trying to put as many surveys in places like Alfred Washburn, Waterfront Rescue Missions Resource Center, Bright Bridge during lunch, Serving the Hungry with Katie Ramsey. These places we're going to have to post that 6 to 10 volunteers because it's just a limited amount of time to get the surveys. With your place, you could probably post one of your volunteers to handle the surveys coming in, the people. Did that answer that?
Yes. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Doesn't seem like it. So we have
Martika, we do
Yeah.
need all of these folks to sign up for volunteer, and I believe most of them have. But if you have not, because there's the hold harmless form and all that goodies, right?
that is right.
Okay.
So we do need folks, like Mr. Ring said, to sign up. Even if you're going to be in outreach, we need you to sign up because you're going to have to sign the hold harmless form. There's a form that is a form that basically says, hey, you understand that you're voluntarily participating in PIT as a volunteer and that you hold the COC and the lead agency. We hold us harmless for anything that may happen because you're volunteering. And it also just helps us to have a track of the number of volunteers that we are surveying. When it comes to previous year's map, yes, we do have a map from previous years. We're currently probably still working on it. Dan, are we still working on getting our census map ready? So we do have a historical census map. How we did it last year is we literally had our census map. No, it was a question of do we have the census maps ready? Yes. Okay, good. Not yet. We're needing to get Mr. Harrison in a meeting. When we get our meeting squared away for just the planning of it, then we'll come in and do the assignment of routes. But if what you could tell us is cross streets in which you are normally get in contact with Mr. Harrison by email. Tell him exactly where do you normally go for your outreach if you've been doing it historically already. If you haven't, then ask him, do you have any routes that just don't have coverage? And then he'll be able to just get your team assigned to a route and y'all folks can participate in that way. So usually it has historically it has included teams from Community Health Northwest Florida, Lakeview Center, Opening Doors, 90 Works. 90 Works, I don't know if they're going to be doing it this year. And then Priority Veteran is a new provider since Rocky transitioned from one organization to there. So Priority Veteran will probably be involved this year. Liberty Church is probably one of the largest outreach teams that goes out.